Hello everyone, Dibz here, and welcome to Overwatch Overseer, a series where I analyze the gameplay submitted by you and try to offer some tips as well as some guidance on how to improve in the game. Now typically in each VOD that I receive, it's usually going to be around one specific hero, but this time we're going to be going over a multiple amount of heroes. We're going to be going over Tracer, Sombra, Doomfist, and a little bit of Widowmaker play. And not only that, we're also going to be trying to use Omnicoach to try to see how accurate it is and how it can also help you. Now we're going to be reviewing somebody named True Moon. He is in bronze currently and also in a 6 stack. So this is going to be interesting. Normally when I've never had a 6 stack in a bronze game before, or at least I've never reviewed one before. So we'll see how this turns out. I'm going to be swapping in between Omnicoach as well as the VOD to see where the tips are applied and just show you guys exactly how strong it can be when using it. So let's get right down to it. And we're going to be doing Tracer on Rialto, not a game that I've reviewed on YouTube yet. So yeah, let's get it going. So we're on attack, and as Tracer, I feel like Tracer is pretty good here because there's a lot of high ground that you can use. A lot allows you to get onto the opposite end pretty quickly, especially when they have snipers on the enemy team. But we'll see how this goes. Ooh, okay. Little bit of a misuse of your blinks. Overusage, I would say. Just a little bit of an overusage of your blinks. Using too many, I feel like. And ending up getting down right there. Okay, so there's a few things that I noticed at the very beginning of this fight. You're using a lot of blinks when you didn't really need to. You weren't really getting shot at, and I feel like the only time you would want to really use blinks is if you are under a lot of fire and you feel like a lot of pressure on you. But in the back line, when you were going against the AORUS right here, as well as the Lucio, there wasn't much, damage going to you, and you're using a lot of blinks to kind of like go back and then get in, go back and get in when there was no point. So I feel like right here at this moment when you're going against the AORUS, right here, the very beginning of the fight. So you shoot, nope, no need to blink. There was no need to blink right there, right? So I know that you're trying to like reposition yourself and kind of like dodge shots that are coming your way, but there really isn't anything happening, right? You could just stay there. You don't have to use the blink. You don't have to use this blink either. You don't have to use that blink either. It's like there's too many blinks being used, and if you keep using all of them, you're not going to have them for the next fight when you really need it. And now you have a recall, you have no more blinks, and now you're going to be trying to going deeper into the backline, which is really dangerous. You did get a kill on this soldier because he wasn't looking at you. But try not to use your blinks as much as possible unless you really need to like dodge attacks. Right? If nobody's shooting at you, don't blink. There's no need to. Because I think they're very important for you to kind of use effectively if you want to last long in a fight. Once you get caught without them, you're kind of screwed. Alright, so that was the first fight. Oh. And also you ended up getting killed by the Hanzo. A good place to stop and try to see what Omnicoach has to say about that. I mean, that was a random shot by the Hanzo. I don't think he was aiming for you. But let's see what Omnicoach has to say about this. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen or heard a lot about Omnicoach in my recent videos, but if you guys don't know, it's a self-analysis tool that allows you, or that gives you a lot of tips as well as pinpoints your strengths and weaknesses in each game that you upload. You upload it yourself. It doesn't track all the games. It's not a third party, or it's not run by a third party. And once you upload it to the site, there's a lot of things that you can look at. There's graphs, there's tips, personal gameplay tips, which we're going to be looking at today, and see what it has for Tracer. So in that first fight, this actually goes in chronological order. So these first tips, when you keep going down one by one, it will be basically the very beginning of the game. And let's see what happened, or let's see what they tell you about the mechanical skill. All right, so if you look at the very beginning, it says pay attention to your efficiency. Lots of blinks and attacks without a kill. Or you're close enough? Do you focus on the proper targets? And I feel like that's actually something that I didn't really talk about. I talked about the blink usage and getting it or attacking without kills, using these unnecessary blinks that are happening right now. But, having or being close enough is actually something that's a really good tip. right? A lot of the times if you're shooting from a far range, you don't get, you're not effective as Tracer at a certain range. And not only that, you're not focusing the right targets, which is true. You're focusing a lot on the tanks. There is a Lucio around here, but at the very beginning of the fight, you were focusing on the AORUS, or you're focusing on the D.Va, which are probably not the best things for you to be going for. You should be going for the backline, going for either DPS or support. So I feel like this adds on really well to like what I'm explaining. Not only does it talk about blinks, but it's like, target focus. So let's go to target focus. All right, there's a lot of things you can look at. You can look at mechanical skill, target focus, game sense, positioning, ultimate usage, etc., etc., etc. So let's talk about target focus at the very beginning. It even talks about it right here. So like all these tips are going together into one area where in one fight, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of different things that you can talk about. And I feel like if you, like, this gives you a lot of depth on what it is that you need to be looking at when you want to improve. If there's one fight, you can talk about so many things, So it's like, all right, focusing on the right targets. You're focusing on the baby D.Va, which you shouldn't be focusing on. And now you switch targets to the soldier, which is what you should be doing, And so that's why I feel like it's doing a really good job, actually. It's doing a really, really good job. I'm pretty surprised on how accurate this is. I'm pretty surprised on how accurate it is when it comes to Omnicoach, pinpointing exactly what you need to be talking about. So when there's anything on game sense, let's take a look at game sense. So with this game sense, recall is on cooldown. Pay attention to your health when you cannot recall to safety. Okay, that's also something I didn't talk about, right? So there's a pinpoint right here where I think you ended up dying here. Yeah, your recall was right here. So that's another thing to talk about. You can talk about recall, right? Because the thing is, if you use recall, one thing that you want to do is you don't want to go into the, in the backline really, really quickly because you have nothing to get out. Once you run out of recall, don't be aggressive. Kind of use corners. Don't go too aggressively in the backline. You want to be using recall as your last cooldown and your saving grace. If you don't have that, then you're basically running in and you're kind of like killing yourself. So first, use all of your blinks when possible. Then when you use your recall, try to get out of there. Don't stay in the fight unless you know it's a winnable fight, especially when there's a Brigitte in your face and which ended up killing you. That's one thing that you want to be watching out for. Recall or no recall is equal to bad. One thing that you could have done, let's go back to the main game. So right here, when you use your recall, there's a lot of different things that you could have do instead. Instead of going down here and sticking with the soldier, right? This is pretty good right here. You got the kill. Got the soldier. But right now, you don't have recall. You only have one blink. What you can do is instead of blinking in and trying to kill the Brigitte and killing the baby D.Va, you can just go onto the high ground. So yeah, there's a lot of things to talk about on that first fight. And Omnicoach went over pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about, even a little bit more. Target priority was something that I didn't really mention, and it actually picked it up, which is good. Okay, they use B. Threw your bomb in to the D.Va after they beat it. All right, so one thing I want to talk about is whenever Lucio uses his beat, it lasts for 6 seconds. It also gives 750 shields to the entire team that's within his range. When they have this many shields, it's not really worth it for you to use your pulse bomb, unless it's like in a grab and you're trying to make all the shields go down so your team can finish him off. But at this time, if you get a stick on somebody, let's say you stick Lucio, he has 750 shields. If you pulse bomb him, it will take away, what, 300 shields? It's not going to kill anybody. It's going to be pretty useless. So just wait for the beat to wear off in order for you to kind of be more efficient with your pulse bomb, I would say. Especially like when it comes to different support ults, when it comes to like Valk and everything else, that doesn't provide shields, right? That's a different story. But the way that Lucio beat works, it makes everybody really buff, gives them a lot of extra damage that they can take, and you don't want to be throwing your ults into there if you don't need to. Okay. A little bit of it was kind of crazy in there, to be honest. I wouldn't have gone in there because there's too many people in a small room. Way too many people in a small room. So I see that your monkey is here, right? Monkey is all the way. He's bumping everybody around, right? You don't want to be in here, to be honest, right? There's a Torb, there's an AORUS, there's a Lucio, there's D.Va. Everybody is in a small confined room. There is not enough space for you to blink around and to run around here. So especially if you don't have a recall. You don't have a recall. You're down. You have no blinks, you have no recall. So if you are down cooldowns and there's 4 enemies in a room, there's no reason for you to be going in there. I see that you did end up getting the AORUS off, but as you get higher and higher in rank, if you do this, if you go in, they're all going to pick you off, especially if you have no way to get out. So don't be aggressive if you don't have your recall. Once again, this tip popped up again. It's something that I feel like is very dangerous to do. You're putting yourself in a very dangerous situation when you don't have any way to get out. And also you had recall there too. You got pretty close to a Hanzo. Going against a Hanzo, you don't want to be this close to him. You don't want to be this close to him, right? I do understand that he wasn't looking in your direction, but once he starts turning to you, or once he realizes that that you are here, and you're this close, you should recall or either blink away because he can one-shot you. Especially if you're at 92. It doesn't matter if it's a headshot or a body shot, you will die because you're at 92 health. So don't get too close to a Hanzo when you're low, especially if you don't have recall. All right, so let's talk about what Omnicoach has to say. So for this mechanical skill comment, it said using all blinks and then getting damaged. Are you exposed to the enemy? Try to play behind tanks and cover until you see a good opportunity to go win and manage your blinks well. Now, if you take a look at where this is looking at, this is basically the exact same place that I was talking about. You know, he had one blink left, he had no recall, and then he was going in and not using the shield or cover from his tanks and going in. So this nailed it right on and provided a little bit of detail about what to do, basically to hang back a little bit before going in if you don't have recall or any cooldowns, and it's very useful. So let's take a look at game sense, for example. This said that you had a 4-player advantage, and to wipe the enemy, delaying the kills will delay the enemy regroup. So this is actually something that you did. You ended up going in and trying to delay the enemy team, or actually staggering them, which was really good. And also basically explains as to why you want to be delaying the enemy team respawn, or why you want to stagger them. Just keep making them respawn over and over and over again, so that whenever they comes to the next fight, you'll have an advantage, and that's really good. All right, so back to the VOD. End up getting picked up by the Hanzo. Pushing up forward. They do have a Torb. I don't know if this is going to be a good idea to keep playing Tracer. Nice. Okay, you made the switch. Nice job. I wouldn't be playing Tracer into that, especially with all the spam coming through. Grabbing the high ground, which is good. Taking a lot of headshots. Oof, oof. Okay, one thing I think you could have done was that you could have actually just walked backwards. Because you're on the high ground, right? You didn't have... Excuse me. You didn't have to go for the health pack. Right? What you could have done was just backed up, get off the balcony, and go back to your healers, and just take some heals. You don't have to go for health packs. You're not playing Tracer, right? If you're playing Tracer, sure, you can blink 3 times, get to this health pack. But I would say just try to use your positioning to your advantage, and just back up to your team, and allow them to heal you up. There's no reason for you to really actually go for that health pack, especially since it's so far away. It's not even close. It takes you a lot of time to get to it. So just use your healers a little bit more, especially when you're playing Widow. Nice, you got beat. Alright. One thing you shouldn't be doing is backing up. You should not be backing up there. Definitely don't need to back up. So your team used your beat, right? Right here. Your team just broke it down. You got Lucio beat. You have 858 life. You got a D.Va coming at you. She's not going to be able to kill you, right? She's targeting you. You're at 591 health. You're still at 400 health. There's no reason for you to back up. So I feel like you're a little bit scared when a D.Va jumps onto you, but you got to realize what was used on your team. Basically use the buffs that your team are giving you and try to use that to your advantage and not back up if you don't have to. Maybe get a pick and then back off when you're getting targeted by multiple people, right? Yeah, and also you're also going up to the high ground here when you're low, right? I feel like you could have just backed up. You could have used your hook backwards. Right. So you're taking a lot of damage right here. Your Ana's right next to you. Your Ana's right next to you. Take a shot, right? Taking a lot of hits. You can use your hook, go to the left side, grab this high ground, or you can hook backwards. If you are on the high ground or backwards, it allows you to get healed by your Ana. So try to use your healers more. Just use them more. You don't have to always go for the health packs. You're playing it like Tracer, again, as usual. But you did get a nice spot though. This is a nice spot. Really good angle for you to actually do so. Going against a Hanzo, I feel like you should reposition at this moment. When you see a Hanzo going against you and you see multiple people shooting at you, you should reposition. All right, so you played Widow for a little bit, but one of the main things for Widow is the fact that she can use her hook and reposition very quickly. If you're shooting at the enemy and then they see that you are shooting from a specific angle, right, you want to switch it up. Use your hook, get a different angle, attack from multiple sides whenever you can. Don't be predictable in your location as Widowmaker, especially against another sniper. They're your biggest weakness. All right, so let's just go back to Omnicoach and see what they have for Widowmaker. It gives you basically all the heroes, Tracer, Widowmaker, Doomfist, Sombra. It tells you what was played and basically gives you specific tips for each hero, which is really, really nice. So if you want, you could just go to details. I'm going to go for survivability here. One of the tips was you just died to Hanzo. Try to constantly reposition to reduce the effectiveness of his sonic arrow. Hanzo has an advantage at shorter distances, so try to make a duel from long distance. Okay. So I think that was that the same time? This is actually the same time. So it's a little bit of a different explanation as to why you would want to relocate. But yes, you should always try to relocate against a Hanzo or an enemy Widowmaker if they see that you're fighting them, right? Keeping it long distance is something that you always want to do as a sniper. And but yeah, reposition as much as possible. Just got it nailed on, just nailed it on right away. Like pretty spot on to what I said. And a couple of things that it actually talked about was also the eliminations tip, where it said that you haven't used Venom Mine in a while. Venom Mine is useful for alerting you to flanks. Try placing it in corridors where a flanker might approach from. If you aren't in danger of being flanked, you can also just throw it into a fight to distract enemies. That is also correct. You should be using your Widow Mine a little bit more. Basically just throw it into the enemy so that it gives you vision through walls if you need to. It allows you to peek behind a wall, get a really good snipe off, and also deals damage to the enemy team. So this is one thing that I did not catch. Use your Widow Mine a little bit more. Try to throw it into the enemy. Try to throw it in a corridor if you are getting flanked a lot. And yeah, this is a really good tip that I didn't go over, to be honest. So thank you. Thank you, Omnicoach. Appreciate it. All right, but it looks like you want to make a switch.
Okay, I can do that.
Looks like you want to go to Reaper. Teleporting in the middle of the battle. You don't want to be doing that too much. That's a little dangerous. If you want to teleport somewhere else that's like not in the middle of everything. What you can do, instead of teleporting at the low ground, you can teleport to the high ground right here. Right? Allows you to get to the high ground, see what's going on, then you can jump down on people. If you teleport right here, you're in LOS of the Hanzo if he's looking down the middle and he can headshot you. And you teleport right next to the D.Va and she could have killed you as well. So use your teleport at in a more hidden location and not right in front of the enemy. Okay. Well, I mean, you were pretty much dead anyway, but I think it looks like you just alt-tabbed there. But yeah, use your phase shift ability. You should have just used it to back up all the way. You ended up using it multiple times. But yeah, I think it was a little bit of a mechanical mistake. I don't think you meaned to get out of your Wraith ability that quickly. But you could have used it to get off the map, so you can regroup with your team, or you could have used it to just walk back to your team and stay invincible. And you're actually switching heroes a lot. You're switching heroes a lot. I don't think there was that much to say about the Reaper, except for just a small mechanical mistake. Not much to talk about that. Alright, so as to switching a lot of heroes, I'm not entirely sure how comfortable you are with either Doomfist or you are with Reaper. But for Doomfist, one thing that you want to do is you want to use your not shatter ability, your seismic slam, which is your E ability, I think. I don't know which one it is. For now, it's your shift ability right here on the bottom right. But seismic slam allows you to get into the enemy and you can uppercut and then use your rocket punch to get out. That's usually the rotation that you want to do, right? You get in with your seismic slam and then get out with your rocket punch. You don't want to be using your rocket punch in the middle of the fight as Doomfist, unless you are 100% sure that you're not going to be in any danger afterwards and you can get out, right? A lot of people use rocket punch as a way to escape. It's better to be used as an escape rather than to finish somebody off, unless you have to win that fight, or unless that fight is already won and you can get out of it without using it. There's a kind of rotation that you have to get used to when it comes to Doomfist. So you can stay on this high ground, which is good. Get some heals if you can. Seismic slam in, uppercut, and then use your rocket punch to get out. You guys are down, or you guys are up one, up two. You guys should be, you're a little bit low on health, going for heals. You can stay on the high ground, to be honest. You can definitely stay on the high ground right here. You could just push X for I need healing, right? Or you can talk to your team, because then the Ana's right here. If you can shoot up on the high ground to you, you can stay healed. And the high ground for Doomfist is probably more important than anybody else, because you got to use your seismic slam to get in. And one way to do it is to come from high ground. It gives you more distance to go through. And then use your combo, and then use your rocket punch to come out. Because right now you give it up, right? You give it up. Yeah, and punch that wall. Yep. Punch the wall. The wall deserved it. Okay, get the diva. That's nice. You can just stagger her. You can just stagger her. Don't really have to kill her. Don't have to really kill her. Alright, so that's one of the reasons as to why you want to be using your Seismic Slam first to get in, and using your Rocket Punch to get out. The only reason why you would want to use, when you use your Rocket Punch, and if you want to kill somebody, you want to make sure that they're close to a wall. You don't ever really want to Rocket Punch anybody, unless you're trying to interrupt an ultimate, interrupt a really big ability, or only use it whenever they are next to a wall, so then you can get that slam damage into the wall and basically kill them. Alright, but I think you did the rotation correctly here. Oh, you used your uppercut first. Don't use your uppercut first. Seismic Slam first, then uppercut, do some shots into their face, then Rocket Punch out. You almost interrupted the beat there though. You almost interrupted the beat there though. You almost did. There's a lot of like, since you're switching heroes a lot, there's a lot of different mechanical things that are happening with each and every hero. And it's I can see that you're playing a lot of them kind of like Tracer. You're kind of playing all of them like Tracer. You like to get in their people's faces when yeah, you just like to be in front of their face. You play them like Tracer. You like frontlining a lot. But you shouldn't be doing that as Tracer though. You shouldn't be frontlining as Tracer either way. But I see that's one thing that you like to do. Okay. So right here, when you use your ultimate, when you use your Meteor Strike, it's most likely, it's usually not worth it for you to land it on a AORUS ult. There's no shield blocking it. There's no shield blocking it. Your team can easily take care of it. But not only that, you're low on health. You're 43 HP. Right. One of the things that you use for your ultimate is not to use it aggressively, is to use it as a retreat. You can throw it up in the air, or you can go up to the air and you can just fly back to your team, land on them, and then get heals and then go back in again. You don't have to use it aggressively. You do not. You use it to stay alive, and use it to get back in for the next fight without dying. We're gonna let this one go on to overtime or finish playing Doomfist before we see what Omnicoach has to do. That was a little close, dude. A little close. You don't have to run into it here. You don't. You don't have to walk into that. You can Rocket Punch out, right? Since you're about to Rocket Punch, just Rocket Punch out the door, so you don't take as much damage from the dragon. Rocket Punch out the door, so you go really quickly. You spend less time in the dragon, right? Or you could just wait for the dragon to pass through before going in. Okay, nice kill. Stalling, stalling, stalling. Damn. Got killed by the Hanzo. Right there, I feel like you didn't really have to use your recall after killing the Reinhardt. You could have used your blinks instead. Your recall should be your very, very, very last thing. Right? 115 life. I think it's because you recalled since you saw the Brigitte in your face, but you can basically do the same thing with your blink. Right? Instead of using your recall, right? You can use your blink to kind of blink to the side, and then use your recall for when you really, really need it. Blink to the high ground, especially when it's overtime, just annoy from the high ground, and then when you get weak, then use your recall afterwards. But that was kind of a wasted recall, in my opinion. Right? Because right now you're in the face, you have no recall, and you get kind of screwed over. So, but it looks like you guys ended up not being able to push it, and we'll see. We'll see what we can find. We'll see what we can find on all the other heroes that were played or on Omnicoach. All right, so Reaper did not appear here because I feel like he was only played for like one death, and it was really, really quick. Well, really, really quick. So let's see what they have for Doomfist. All right, so for the mechanical skill one, let's go to this pinpoint right here. Allows you to see what's going on. Use your uppercut, then use your rocket punch, which are pretty much out of order. And what does it say? It says you died soon after punching into the enemy team. Rocket punch is your best movement ability and escape. So don't use it to engage from afar. Instead, try to flank and use it to finish people off and get shields to give yourself survivability. Yes, this is exactly what you want to do with Doomfist. Don't want to be using it to get in, unless you're going against a sniper. That's one thing that I feel like they don't talk about. But if you're going against a sniper and you're trying to close the gap and it's just you and the sniper, then yes, for sure, it's okay. Because if you're going against just a sniper, you can use your punch all the way across the map, get to the high ground where it's just you and her or him, and then use your seismic slam, uppercut, kill him, and then you can stay there on the high ground where nobody is, and you can just just chill, wait for your rocket punch to come off a cooldown, then rocket punch back out again. Right? It depends on the situation, to be honest. But in this situation, yes, rocket punching into the team, It's very bad. It's basically like, you know, you're basically asking for them to kill you. All right, survivability. Let's look at this one. It says you probably engaged with Seismic Slam and died pretty quickly. Try to use Seismic Slam from a very high place to get a lot of damage. Your shields also stack with the number of people hit by abilities, so getting a group of enemies at once will help you a lot with survivability. Finally, make sure you're not going in alone. You can go alone sometimes depending on the situation, because you can get bubble if you have a Zarya, right? You can Seismic Slam, get a bubble, and then uppercut, and then rocket punch out, and you'll be fine most of the time if you have a Zarya, but you don't have a Zarya here. But yes, right here as well. You ended up just getting into their face and using your Seismic Slam into the group of people, and then you ended up dying really quickly. This basically ties into using your rocket punch to get out and not using a rocket punch to get in, which is really good. And also explains to you what happens with your Seismic Slam and what kind of abilities or what kind of benefits you get from it, which is also really, really nice. Not everybody knows how, you know, specific heroes work, and these little tiny tips that it gives you is really useful. So aside from that, it also gives you exercises that you can practice. So there's ability practice for Doomfist, which I think is really, really important. It gives you a little bit of a small video that you can see. And it basically just gives you like a demo on what you should do to practice. Very nice. I feel like it's really good for you to kind of like visualize what it is that needs to be done and how to issue or how to do the moves correctly. And a lot of the times when you're getting like coached, you can't really show you. I mean, they can, but then they have to get out of the game. And then they basically will do this. You know, if they're trying to show you something, they'll show you, okay, this is how you use your combos. You Seismic Slam, use your uppercut, then you shoot, and then use a rocket punch on somebody close to a wall, or you use it to get out. And so I feel like it's a really good thing for them, or for you guys, to actually like use these kind of videos instead of you know, just trying to like imagine it in your head. It's all right here in your face, and you can see what's going on. It also gives you a way to prepare for the ability practice. It tells you what it is, why it's important, and also it tells you how to prepare the game itself, how to set up a custom game, and what your objective is, and how long to practice these with. So there's so many things that you can actually do with Omnicoach. It gives you all these tips and also exercises on how to practice these tips. And let's see what they actually did for Tracer. Did they give you one? Tracer recall efficiency exercise. So there is no video for the Tracer recall efficiency, but it does tell you exactly how to set it up, or why it's important for you to set it up, and what your objective is. Your objective is to try and use recall on the last possible second. This enables you to deal a bit of extra damage in that bonus second, and also heals you for a bigger amount. So yeah, basically it just tells you why, or gives you an in-depth explanation. So you can basically be reading all of this stuff, and also you can be learning at the same time, not even just like watching your own VOD. You know, a lot of the stuff may apply or does apply to your own VOD, but even outside of your VOD, it's very important to know, which is really nice. But anyways, we're going on to the next round. Going to be playing Sombra. What is it, on defense? Interesting pick, to be honest. Now Sombra is actually really good here because you can use high ground. It allows you to hack people from high ground, shoot from high ground, if you can get the high ground. All right, so it looks like you set up your translocator onto the side, and you're on the side here, which is okay. This is fine too. This is not too bad, but I would suggest get on high ground. High ground is much better for you, because right now, if they run into you, you're kind of screwed. All right, if they see you and they bash you, you really don't have anywhere to run. You can use a translocator, but like it's better to be out of the line of sight of the enemy instead. Nice, nice, okay. Hacking the Rhine, he tried to swing and kill you because he was a little bit eager. It was kind of his mistake. It's kind of his mistake. And yeah, like that. So that's one thing that I think that you should do. Don't be in the low ground. Use high ground more as all heroes. So I noticed as Tracer, as Doomfist, as Reaper, as Widow. Well, Widow you use high ground a little bit, but not as much. Not as much as you should. Not as much as you should have. But for all the heroes that you've played so far, you don't like using high ground. So grab the high ground as much as possible. Set up your translocator on high ground so that when somebody tries to come after you and they see you, they have to use their cooldowns to get to you, or they just can't get to you. Right? So like this Doomfist, you translocated low ground, you're in the middle of a fight, you're in a bunch of all the spam, and then Doomfist just punched you. Okay, going invisible for the speed. Use your translocator if you have to kind of like gain that extra distance. You can throw it and translocate ahead of you to kind of get to the fight faster. Okay, setting it a little bit too low. A little bit too low. Just use high ground. Use high ground. Doomfist is somebody you want to be hacking most of the time. Okay. Okay, so one thing I want to talk about there is that when you got uppercutted into the air, right? One thing you could have done is translocate right when you got uppercutted, or before you got, or when you got seismic slammed. There's no point to translocate after you got punched. So use it before you actually take the damage, not after you take the damage. It's kind of like a recall, right? A lot of the times you can use a preemptive recall in order to stop yourself from taking damage, instead of taking the damage and then recalling the health back. All right, so one thing that you also want to do is don't forget to use a translocator. So what I like to do is I like to throw it before I get into a fight. Throw it before you get into a fight so that you always have it up and that you can always translocate. You can even use it here, even like in a small corner. That's fine. All right, as long as you don't die. If you die without using your translocator, that's probably the worst thing for you to do. Nice hack on the Doomfist. He's your #1 priority target to hack, because of the fact that he can't really move around. Ooh. Okay, so a lot of misuse of abilities. You did hack the Doomfist really, really well. But whenever you go invisible, try to go invisible when nobody's looking at you. This way they can't shoot you, they can't spam you, and they can't take you out of it. Not only that, you use your EMP when you don't know if your team was going to follow up or not. Not only that, they have a Lucio. One thing that you can do is if you're not using your EMP aggressively with your team as a combo, you can wait for the enemy team to use their abilities, which is like beat, and then you can counter with EMP. If you use EMP, it breaks all shields. It takes away shields from the enemy team, so beat basically just gets entirely countered, and everybody's hacked. So try to use your EMP a little bit more. Don't just use it when there's a lot of people, right? Either plan it with your team or use it as counterplay and see what you can do there. But it looks like you use your EMP and you're gonna swap off to Doomfist again. And let's see what Omnicoach has for Sombra. You got team synergy, or you got ultimate usage right here. Let's try this right here. Ultimate usage. This is when you use your EMP, right? This is when you use your EMP, right? All right. Be careful not to position yourself in the middle of the enemy team when going for an EMP. It depends on how you take this. It's good to EMP when you are in the middle of the enemy, if you are in the team, but I would say you would have to come from a different angle with your translocator, or you would have to be invisible and then come out. So one thing that you can do to kind of like use this tip is to think about it. You don't want to be walking into the enemy team, not invisible, and then EMP, because when you're walking to the team, they can see you, and if you're in the middle of them, they can kill you before you even use your EMP. So one thing that you should do is go invisible first, go invisible, get into the enemy team, and then EMP when coming out of invisibility. Because the thing is, they won't be able to react to it as fast, and you know, you can translocate afterwards if you need to get out after EMPing when your team follows up. Or you can use your translocator, throw it in, then use your EMP on everybody, and then have your team follow up afterwards. It's a little bit more risky, but if your team has follow-up damage, that's the best way for you to do it. If your team doesn't have follow-up damage, then it's okay for you to use your invisibility first, and then use your ult. All right, so let's look at team synergy. What does it have for team synergy on Sombra? There's a Reinhardt on the enemy team. He is one of your main hack targets. Yes, that is correct. Hacking a Rein shield is really important. It brings the shield down so the enemy team doesn't have any cover, right? Not only that, it's also really good for you to do so since you can just focus down the Rein. Once you kill the Rein, he can't shatter. There's nothing for him to shield. You know, you can't shield the team. And then allows your team to just push through after you hack the Rein, which is really nice. And not only that, it also talks about hacking, canceling his charge, so you can try to save your teammates whenever you have the chance, then focus the Reinhardt hard after or before you can use the shield again. Yes, there's also another tip that you can use to hack, right? Hacking the Rein when he's charging. When you hack him, it stops him, right? And after that, then your team can focus him down, especially when if he's in your backline, trying to get that charge off. And so also for another thing for team synergy, what's really nice is that it says EMP allows you Reinhardt to get an Earth Shatter without any risk of it getting blocked by a shield or getting interrupted by an ability. So coordinate with your Reinhardt for strong play. Yes, really important. Talks about team synergy. So whenever you EMP the enemy team, they can't use any abilities, and also they have no shields. So you EMP, you can follow up with Shatter, or you can follow up with Diva Bomb. They have nothing they can do to get away from either one, and allows you to combo. But the thing is right here, it didn't seem like you were comboing well with your team, or you weren't really communicating together. But this is also a very important tip, you know, following up or making sure your team has follow-up damage or follow-up ultimates with your EMP, and not just using it just because you want to use it and you want to EMP a group of people, right? There has to be follow-up, there has to be a reason to do it, and not just because you want to, you know, hack everybody. All right, but let's see, you're back on Doomfist. See how this goes. It Looks like they got a Doomfist as well. Using a Rocket Punch to get out. Don't need to be in there. Yep, use a Rocket Punch to get out. Yep. Use it to get out. You can actually uppercut up there. If you didn't know, if you really want to retreat quickly, you can use your uppercut on this wall right here. There's this wall right here that you can uppercut over. Allows you to get back to your team faster without being in the line of sight of everybody. If you are planning to reset though. If you plan to reset, but it doesn't look like your team is resetting. Looks like your team is still here. Nice, nice. Oof, okay, right here. Also, one thing that you can be doing with Doomfist is pushing people off the wall, pushing people off the map. You can boop them off the map with your uppercut, and also you can boop them off the map with your rocket punch, right? So you can come from a different angle. Instead of rocket punching this Brigitte, right? Instead of just punching her like directly on, what you can do is you can try focusing people on the left side so that whenever you rocket punch, you can rocket punch them off of the bridge and they fall off and you can actually get a kill like that. Or you can come from the side, you can uppercut them. You could be next to the Brig here and you can uppercut her upwards and you can uppercut her off the map. But a Brig will be able to get back though. So you gotta make sure, you know, the targets that you uppercut and boop off the map don't have abilities to get back up. Like this run right here, you can boop the Rhine off right now. You can uppercut him off, or you can use a rocket punch to punch him off when you got shattered, or when you got stunned.
Come on, guys. Someone get this Rhine. Someone get this Rhine. He's low, guys.
Okay, going for the back line. Probably a better idea, especially since the enemy team has a lot of tanks on the point and there's no walls. Right, there's no walls. I would like to use your high ground. I would like to see you use a little bit more high ground again. Whenever you can. But yeah, don't be afraid to use your rocket punch to get that specified kill. What you can do instead is when you're on the bridge right here, I remember saying that you shouldn't use your rocket punch when you're in the middle of a fight, but you can if you have your uppercut ability and your seismic slam, right? You don't want to be using your rocket punch in the middle of the group if you don't have those up, because there's two different things that you can do. You can use your seismic slam to get in and then your rocket punch to get out, or you can use your rocket punch to get in and then uppercut and then seismic slam to get out. It's a little bit riskier though because you can't gain as much distance, right? Two different combos that you can do, or two different rotations that you can do with the Doomfist. Depends on the situation, depends on your positioning most of the time, more than anything else. Okay, using Meteor Strike. Nice, nice. Got that punch in the Rhine. That's huge. That's like a lot of damage. Oof. Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of... Most of this game was all about mechanics. There were a lot of... incorrect mechanics and a lot of abilities used that were not... used efficiently. Right. I feel like that's the glaring thing about this game. Not game sense, not really. I mean, mostly a little bit of positioning. Positioning would be mostly just like high ground, but I think that ties into the mechanics, right? Because if you're high ground, a lot of the times that helps you perform mechanically better, right? With the Widow, with the Doomfist, a lot of it ties in with that. But I feel like a lot of it just comes down to just playing the hero correctly and using your abilities correctly, right? I feel like, of course, you can use this to practice a little bit, but try to focus on one hero. Focus on one hero. This is what I like to say when it comes to like trying to play a lot of heroes all at once. You played Tracer, you played Widow, you played Reaper, you played Sombra, you played Doomfist. That's 5 heroes that you swapped off to. At this level, this is bronze. I feel like, in my opinion, from what I've experienced, people who are usually bronze, silver, or gold, or whoever are stuck there, they're stuck there mostly because they aren't playing their hero correctly. Not because they're not swapping enough, not because they aren't communicating enough, not because they're synergizing with their team enough, but because whenever they play their hero, they don't use that hero effectively enough, right? If you see throughout the entire game, there was an incorrect type of, there was an incorrect movement from your Tracer, incorrect usage of blinks, too many blinks used, too many recalls used when you didn't really need to. Doomfist, the order of your abilities was kind of all over the place, it wasn't correct. For Widow, you weren't using high ground enough, you're kind of like on the side, right? These are all the basic stuff, you know? And especially when it comes to Sombra too. Sombra, not using your translocator correctly, you're not using it at its direct location. not hacking the right targets. There is this, I feel like it's really basic when it comes to like bronze and silver. Just focus on one hero at a time. Be like, okay, at least just two, maybe two. Yeah, anyways, that's gonna be about it for this one. Pretty good. I feel like Omnicoach hit a lot of the points. I didn't go through every single little thing, but a lot of the tips that I gave kind of really corresponded to what I was talking about, and it was really effective on how they gave you like these extra exercises that you can do on the side. But let's take a look at the graphs, see if there's anything else that we can talk about when it comes to things besides the tips. Now, there were gameplay statistics that showed you where your strengths were. Right? It showed that your kill death ratio was really high. You were really effective at it at the very beginning of the game. But after that, you ended up starting to kind of drift off a little bit. So this kind of tells you played a lot of Tracer at the very beginning of the game. And when you started swapping heroes right here, it kind of went down, went really, really low here. Right? So you can see you played Doomfist here. Your effectiveness with Doomfist is pretty low. Right? But your Tracer effectiveness is pretty high. So this could be like, okay, what should I do? Should I play Tracer more or should I play other heroes more? Based on the graph itself, you should play more Tracer, right? Like this, heals per minute. How many times you healed yourself? Well, that's different. That's for Tracer. Yeah, this basically tells you. So if you're on Tracer, you click Tracer, it tells you where you play Tracer. Widowmaker tells you where you played Widow, which is down here. When you played Doomfist, which is down here. When you played Sombra, which is a little bit higher. So it seems like your strongest hero is Tracer, and Sombra would be your next strongest hero. Not as strong as Tracer for sure. Tracer, you should play more. You should definitely play more Tracer. All right, that's why I like this. It tells you how effective you are when it comes to certain stats, when it comes to like kill death, or when it comes to like, how much damage you suffered, or your kill participation, right? So yeah, just try it out. I think these graphs are also very, very useful. Yeah. That's one thing. Why would you want to look at a graph? To see where you do the best, right? Especially if you're playing multiple heroes, you can see, oh, I played one hero this way. Especially if you're playing multiple heroes, you know what I mean? But it could even help if you're playing a single hero. You could be like, okay, if I played a game, at the very beginning of the game, I had really high kill death elimination, really high. And then all of a sudden, I ended up getting very, very low kill participation. And then you can look, okay, so what happened at this specific time? Did they switch off to Brigitte? Or did they have a Pharah? Or was I getting countered, right? If any of those happen, I could be like, okay, so since I had really bad kill participation when the Brigitte came out, maybe I should swap off. Or maybe I should play a different hero, right? So there's a lot of this information where looking at these gameplay statistics can be useful when it comes to that specific game. Right. It's not useful when you compare one game to another game to another game to another game, but it's useful to compare it when you're looking at one game and seeing how effective you are at certain parts of it. Right. So that's why I think this is really, really useful. Like I can see myself using this a lot because a lot of the times I find myself, not really doing well at a certain time of the game, and then I can pinpoint exactly when that happened and why it happened. So yeah, if you guys haven't given up Omnicoach or given Omnicoach a look at least, I feel like it's really, it will help you more than anything, like there's all these tips. It tells you like all the kill feed, it tells you who killed you, tells you who you killed, tells you all your strengths, gives you all the tips that you need for each and every hero that you play, right? It's not just one person, it's not just one hero, right? It spreads out a lot and it's actually really useful. Yeah, that's all I got for this one. I appreciate you guys, sticking to this one. It was a different one. I usually don't do multiple heroes, but I find that it opened up, using Omnicoach opened up my eyes a lot too. It catches a few things that I don't explain some of the time. So I would not be afraid. Don't be afraid to give it a shot. At least give it a look and see what they got. Yeah, that's going to be about it for this one. Just want to say thanks for watching, guys. If you guys want to submit your own gameplay to me personally, you can submit it to dibsgaming@hotmail.com. Currently, I don't have that many VODs lined up, so if you send them to me, most likely I'll do it on the next video. Or if you don't want to send it to me directly and you want to use Omnicoach instead, you can use it in the link below. I'll post it in the description and you can check it out and see what's going on. You can use the link. And yeah, you guys won't regret it, honestly. It's from what I've seen personally, I like it a lot. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.